I'm your host, Stephen Vanover, here on the Sports Talk Line Network, where we talk sports 24/7, 365. This is the Roundtable, and we're here again tonight, as we almost always are, with Mr. Tom McAllister from New York City. Good day, sir.
Thanks for having me, Van.
All right, it's a pleasure, as you well know, and I'm signing in from Long Beach, so we got a coast-to-coast thing going here. And the first topic of the day is we're going to rip down the waiver wire, the effort from the NFL to come up with the final 53. But that's a joke for today, because especially since there's so little scouting, so little information known, they've been hiding guys, who's going to go to the injured reserve, who's not. It is a smorgasbord out there as teams look at who's cut, and they have no idea if that team is cutting somebody that's good or not. But man, there are some big names out there, aren't there?
There are, and I think the one that started it off was earlier this week when Leonard Fournette was released from the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's the first sign where the Jacksonville Jaguars are, even though tanking is not something that's usually used in the NFL, you got to wonder, is Jacksonville trying to come up with the worst football team ever so that they can draft Trevor Lawrence with the number 1 pick in 2021?
I don't think they really have to try that hard. Okay, I'm just thinking, some people just come by it naturally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How far Jacksonville has fallen. They were a quarter.
2 years.
Yeah. A few years ago, people were projecting them to, make it to the Super Bowl. They came pretty close to taking out the New England Patriots, and now they're back to the laughingstock.
All right, but let's talk about some of these names going out. At the top of the list, and I'm going to throw this out there because he's not only a cut but a signing. The oldest practice squad player in the history of the NFL, Josh Rosen, was cut by the Miami Dolphins and then subsequently signed by the Eagles.
This is something I think Josh Rosen hasn't found his team. He was the number 1 pick by the Cardinals a few years ago in that QB studded class, and the Cardinals come back and draft Kyle Murray with the number 1 pick the next year. They trade him to Miami, and Miami, as bad as Miami is, they're like, know what? You don't fit in with our system. And this is something where you got to wonder if he's going to find the right spot for him, where this could just be another classic bust where he's already at his third team. Is he going to go 4 for 4 and find somewhere else to go?
Well, he's got to get off the practice squad first, okay? So, there you go. He took the deal. There was another player earlier today. Oh, man, I think it may have been the Giants that they cut him and were hoping to sign him back to the practice squad. And he said, no, thank you. He said,
that might have been Connolly.
That was who it is. And let's actually talk about him right now, Ryan Connolly. Because, he's a guy that they cut and we're going to bring him back, but he said no thank you. And I think the guy can play.
Well, he did show in a dark, muddy season for the Giants, he did show some potential. He did show some flashes. He had 2 interceptions, a sack in his 4 games. A lot of people thought there was a lot of growth. But he already got picked up by the Minnesota Vikings off waivers. So it's something like he was unemployed for less than 24 hours. Right. And also he's coming back from ACL surgery, so you got to wonder how that's impacting him. And also you have to remember, teams are making these cuts without preseason games. So you're going off what you see in practice. You're not going off what they see against other competition. While fans generally don't get as excited for preseason football, this is a situation where you could get cut because you didn't have your opportunity. You mentioned the Giants before. Victor Cruz was signed for a performance against the Jets in the preseason several years ago, and he, had his time to shine and was a Pro Bowler for a few years.
Okay, so let's keep bouncing about the league because we got a few to hit here. Okay, we got the Steelers. All right, they cut Ryan Switzer, which is a guy that the Cowboys drafted, traded to the Raiders. The Raiders traded him to the Steelers. He's Roethlisberger's best friend, and now he's cut. And then also they cut Paxton, the QB, again, who's got to be used to it at this point, right?
Yeah, I believe he had his shot in Denver. He's someone who comes in for number 2. And it's also, Big Ben is going to be around, I guess, until he decides he's gone. And it looks like he's not slowing down anytime soon. But he is injury prone.
And that doesn't work if you're a new guy trying to hang on. But if you're an old guy and you've got a few Super Bowl rings on your finger, it definitely seems to work. All right, next, the Jags cut QB Mike Glennon. And I only mention this because if the Jags don't have a QB better than Mike Glennon to start, that really says a lot. And let's go back to what you were talking about earlier, right? About the tank.
Yeah, it's about tanking, and you also got to wonder, maybe they want to bring back Blake Bortles.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, maybe they do. Maybe they do. All right, now the Colts, sticking with the QBs, they cut QB Chad Kelly. And the reason I bring this up is the guy has $1 million arm and a 5-cent head. And you hear the fans all the time going, you could have got Chad Kelly. You could have got him in the third. You could have got him in the fourth. You could have done this. You could have done that. There's no denying the kid's talent. That's why he keeps catching on in camps. There's no denying his 5-cent head. That's why he gets cut every season, right?
Yes, and it's also, if you're the Colts, you got to wonder, are they going all in this year? Did they go out and get Phillip Rivers and be like, you know what, we got a chance, Tom Brady's not in New England. Let's try to make a Super Bowl run here.
There you go. But if you got Phillip Rivers, you better bring duct tape, man. He ain't getting any younger. All right. Now, the next guy I want to talk about actually is going to lead back to your Giants there, because Prince Amukamara was cut by the Raiders, and he's been around the league, okay? The Giants, the Saints, and then the Raiders. And he was cut, quote unquote, from what I have heard from my sources, he just wasn't bringing what they wanted. He was soft. This is not news to Giants fans, is it?
No, I think if you're a cornerback, you do not want to be drafted by Jerry Reese or the New York Giants in the first round. You have DeAndre Baker, who's facing criminal charges. You had Eli Apple, who got the word cancer thrown around, and Prince Amukamara, who, hasn't found his niche. So it's definitely something that's frustrating, but cornerbacks you need a lot of, and they're tough to find. But when they fall off fast.
And this guy definitely seems not to be in favor. I mean, what more can you say about a guy that just can't land with any team? The Raiders, I'm not going to say they are the bottom of the league, but okay, never mind. I'm going to say it. They're the bottom of the league. Okay. I mean, they're down there. They're in that bottom shuffle, aren't they?
They're in the toilet bowl.
Pretty much. All right. So now there are quite a few other cuts going around. There's one more thing I want to bring up that is not technically a waiver wire move or a cut. And it's the Cowboys had their Randy Gregory reinstated. The only reason I bring this up is like, what? Finally? The commissioner, Goddell, waited until the last possible moment to reinstate him. I say he's got a thing against the Cowboys. Goodell says no, he doesn't, but his actions speak louder than words. Not only did he reinstate the guy, he says, you know what, you're fully reinstated, but you can't report to the team till Monday. Don't even call them until Monday. And then after that, you can't play in a game until end of October.
I think with Randy Gregory, the situation was it was a Friday night news dump. I do believe when Goodell kind of went in there, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm not sure if the suspension was already played that he had to do. But also, if you're the Cowboys, everyone's saying Randy Gregory. He hasn't played in how many years? Who knows the type of player you're going to get?
Exactly. It's a joke, and they're jacking him around. And the new CBA, smoking weed is fine. They're just going to take your money away from you and let you continue to play. But Goodell has it out for the Cowboys. You can't convince me otherwise. His actions speak louder than his words. There's no reason to jerk this guy around. He's dotted every I, crossed every T, and you waited until now. You made him miss every possible piece of camp whatsoever. And you go, you know what? Yeah, okay, you can come back.
I think there are 31 other NFL teams that believe Roger Goodell is against them, and a union that thinks Roger Goodell is against them.
There's not 31 other NFL teams that he continuously jacks around with players on suspension, not giving information over and over and over until the last possible moment. Like I said, his actions speak louder than his words. But let's get on back to a topic that you brought up, and I think it could be a pretty interesting topic.
Yes. This past week, the NCAA has trademarked the phrase battle in the bubble. So this is getting a lot of people speculating as March Madness was taking out of our hands so quickly. They were the first major casualty of this sports pandemic. But it looks like there's going to be some form of NCAA basketball tournament going on in 2021. You just got to wonder, how's it going to look like? Because NCAA basketball, they do need out-of-conference games to determine, all right, how do all the conferences rank up? So because I think the NCAA doesn't want 2 teams from the MAC conference and only 2 teams from the ACC.
The NBA set the standard, though, man. What the NBA is doing is working. It's killing the ratings, just knocking them out. The teams are there, and let's be upfront, okay? The NCAA doesn't give a crap about these guys' scholastic aptitude, what they're doing on their scholastic year, and if the basketball season in any way impacts their scholastic career. They don't care. So if they can recreate what the NBA did and guarantee it and then go out and sell the crap out of it because they're going like, you know what, guys, this works. Bring everybody down, hire a city, open up Disneyland, however they're going to do it. And make it go. The NCAA is about one thing, always has been since day one, making money. And this is a good deal for doing that, yeah?
I think with the NCAA, some of the cities that are popping up are not the glamorous types like Orlando, to say the least.
Oh, hell no, they cost too much.
Yeah, but it's something where this is going to be an opportunity where they call it the golden window, and they literally – pretty much every major college is ending classes Thanksgiving. So you could go from Thanksgiving to maybe mid-February, and you could have your whole NCAA basketball tournament in there. You could get 20-plus games in there. If you get the major conference games, the conferences are happy because they're making their TV money. And who knows, you might be able to have some fans in the stands by the time this starts up again.
Well, it's the one thing, March Madness is the one thing that keeps the NCAA viable because the football conferences have taken over. They do not need the NCAA whatsoever. They do not need them. They don't want their direction. They're not looking for direction, which is good because they haven't got any. And here I find it's laughable because the NCAA finally comes out with something that, on the surface, this is a pretty crafty move, but it's a day late and a dollar short, which is the NCAA, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me too. How fantastic would it have been if they're like, you know what? Let's have the 2020 tournament in June, and be like, you know what? Let's finish up our conference tournaments. These guys want to play. Let's bring them back on campus.
Could have done it.
I think it would have been great. The fans would have loved it. The NBA would have loved it. But that would have made sense.
All right. Well, before we sign off, I got to get your take because, you really do a good job with it. And I'm so jazzed about the NBA. We kind of slid into it a little bit. It wasn't on the topic. What's your take? What's the best matchup going on right now?
I would say the best matchup going on right now is the Toronto Raptors and Boston Celtics.
Yes.
You see how one play can totally change the series. Now, I think Toronto was down by 2. They put Taco Fall on the ball. They're able to hit a cross-court pass. The guy hits the 3 at the buzzer. Toronto comes back, ties up the series 2-2. If that shot is missed, Toronto would have been down 3-0, and Boston probably would have gone for the sweep.
Correct.
Now it's a best-of-3 series, which I think the NBA desperately needs. They need these rivalries. They need these close games. I think a lot of reason why people don't turn into the NBA playoffs is because when you get all these super teams, you're kind of like, well, they're going to run through this team, they're going to run through that team, and the players aren't really associated with franchises. They're just seen as mercenaries. So that's definitely something I think that – and also Toronto was able to make it to the conference final. You got to give a lot of credit to that organization for pulling off what they did.
Oh, hell yes.
Especially
look at what they have. They are not a premier franchise, okay? They're not. So, I mean, but free agents don't go, oh, wow, Toronto, that's where I'm going, baby. Though I don't know why. Poutine, come on. All right.
Well, it's also, too, it's the curse of Drake.
Oh, totally. Totally.
Got to worry about that.
But now, hold on. I'm going to go a little controversy here. Okay.
Okay.
Chris Paul was calling time out. His guy had the ball in his hands, and he called time out. The referee ignored it. His player tried to hit the other player with the ball and knock it out of bounds, missed him. It was an awesome play as he jumped up in the air and split his legs, and the ball went underneath and went out of bounds. But in replay, there's just no denying that the referee totally boned it. And then when Paul's trying to explain it to him, he's getting in his grill saying, you don't know what you're talking about. Paul was 100% correct. Did you see it? What do you think about it?
I think, Chris Paul, I didn't see the game, but the one lasting memory is the image that's going to last a million memes when they're at the foul line and I believe Oklahoma City's going to win the game. And you just see Chris Paul staring at James Harden. It seems like James Harden is a very tough person to get along with if you ask any of his former teammates.
Oh, yeah. He's a dork. From everything I hear, he's just, a dork. That's a nice way of saying a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is. And he does not play defense. But, man, was that 2 defensive plays in a row he turned in there?
Yes, he's playing defense in the postseason.
Yeah, boy, is he.
Because we also talked about it, too, in the previous shows at the All-Star game. It was like, all right, whoever is being guarded by James Harden, we're going to go at him on defense. Now it looks like, because defense is effort. And this is something where it will be tremendous for the Houston franchise if they, able to squeak this out, but they got a tall test ahead of them in LA.
Yes. But there's just a lot of good basketball and a lot of good matchups going on right now, isn't there?
There is. And you got to love, where's it going to go? The Bucks were able to stave off elimination. If not, we would be talking about where's Giannis going next. But hey, who knows? That could be in a few days. All right.
Well, look, that's all we got time for tonight. For those of you listening, please look at Tom. You'll see right there on the screen, it says @defends_com. You can't miss that bad boy. It's on Twitter. Follow him. He's a great follow. Follow me on Twitter @Stephen Vanover. Sports Talk Line @Sports Talk Line. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe, hit that notify, watch us. We got the best damn highlights in sports. And we have a rotating group of guys like Tom, myself. We have the Saved by the Bellerin crew. We have an incredible group of guys that put up these shows. We bring you insight like nobody else. It's so much fun. Tom, thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me, Van.
Always a pleasure. And to everyone out there, till next time, listen like you play with intensity.